The Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is the head of the executive branch of Massachusetts's state government and serves as Commander-in-Chief of the state's military forces. The current governor is Charlie Baker. Constitutional role. Part 2, Chapter 2, Section I, Article 1 of the Massachusetts Constitution reads, "There shall be a supreme executive magistrate, who shall be styled the Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and whose title shall be His Excellency. The Governor of Massachusetts is the chief executive of the Commonwealth, and is supported by a number of subordinate officers. He, like most other state officers, senators, and representatives, was originally elected annually. In 1918 this was changed to a 2-year term, and since 1966 the office of governor has carried a 4-year term. The Governor of Massachusetts does not receive a mansion, other official residence, or housing allowance. Instead, he resides in his own private residence. The title, His Excellency, is a throwback to the royally appointed governors of the province of Massachusetts Bay. The first governor to use the title was Richard Coote, 1st Earl of Bellamont in 1699. Since he was an earl, it was thought proper to call him Your Excellency. The title was retained until 1742, when an order from King George II forbade its further use. However, the framers of the state constitution revived it because they found it fitting to dignify the governor with this title. The governor also serves as Commander-in-Chief of the Commonwealth's armed forces. Succession. According to the state constitution, whenever the chair of the governor is vacant, the lieutenant governor shall take over as acting governor. The first time this came into use was 5 years after the Constitution's adoption in 1785, when Governor John Hancock resigned the post, leaving Lieutenant Governor Thomas Cushing as acting governor. Most recently, Jane Swift became acting governor upon the resignation of Paul Cellucci. Under this system, the lieutenant governor retains his or her position and title as lieutenant governor, and becomes acting governor, not governor. The lieutenant governor, when acting as governor, is referred to as the lieutenant governor, acting governor, in official documents. The Massachusetts Constitution does not use the term acting governor. The Massachusetts courts have found that the full authority of the office of the governor devolves to the lieutenant governor upon vacancy in the office of governor, i.e., there is no circumstance short of death, resignation, or impeachment that would relieve the acting governor from the full responsibilities of being the governor. When the Constitution was first adopted, the Governor's Council was charged with acting as governor in the event that both the governorship and lieutenant governorship were vacant. This occurred in 1799 when Governor Increase Sumner died in office on June 7, 1799, leaving Lieutenant Governor Moses Gill as acting governor. Acting Governor Gill never received a lieutenant and died on May 20, 1800. Between that year's election and the inauguration of Governor-elect Caleb Strong, the Governor's Council served as the executive for 10 days. The Council's chair, Thomas Dawes, was at no point named governor or acting governor. Article 55 of the Constitution, enacted in 1918, created a new line of succession: Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of the Commonwealth, Attorney General, Treasurer and Receiver General, State Auditor. When the governor dies, resigns, or is removed from office, the office of governor remains vacant for the rest of the 4-year term. The lieutenant governor does not succeed but only discharges powers and duties as acting governor. However, if a vacancy in the office of governor continues for 6 months, and the 6 months expire more than 5 months before the next regular biennial state election midway through the governor's term, a special election is held at that time to fill the vacancy for the balance of the unexpired 4-year term. Cabinet. The governor has a 10-person cabinet, each of whom oversees a portion of the government under direct administration. See Government of Massachusetts for a complete listing. Traditions. The front doors of the State House are only opened when a governor leaves office or a head of state comes to visit the State House, or for the return of flags from Massachusetts regiments at the end of wars. Incoming governors usually choose at least one past governor's portrait to hang in their office. Immediately before being sworn into office, the governor-elect receives 4 symbols from the departing governor: the ceremonial pewter key for the governor's office door, the Butler Bible, the gavel, and a 2-volume set of the Massachusetts General Statutes with a personal note from the departing governor to his/her successor added to the back of the text. The governor-elect is then escorted by the sergeant-at-arms to the House chamber and sworn in by the Senate President, before a joint session of the House and Senate. Lone walk. Upon completion of their term, the departing governor takes a lone walk down the grand staircase, through the House of Flags, into Doric Hall, out the central doors and down the steps of the Massachusetts State House. The governor then crosses the street into Boston Common, thereby symbolically rejoining the Commonwealth as a private citizen. Benjamin Butler started the tradition in 1884. Some walks have been modified, with some past governors having their wives, friends or staff accompany them. A 19-gun salute is offered during the walk, and frequently the steps are lined by the outgoing governor's friends and supporters. In January 1991, outgoing Lieutenant Governor Evelyn Murphy, the first woman elected to statewide office in Massachusetts, walked down the stairs before Governor Michael Dukakis. In a break from tradition, the January 2007 inauguration of Governor Deval Patrick took place the day after outgoing Governor Mitt Romney took the lone walk down the front steps. Governor's residence. Despite several proposals for establishing an official residence for the governor of Massachusetts, including the Endicott estate which was once acquired for the purpose, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts does not have a governor's mansion. In 1955, Governor Foster Furcolo turned down a proposal to establish the Shirley Eustace House in Roxbury, built by Royal Governor William Shirley, as the official residence. At one time, Governor John A. Volpe accepted the donation of the Endicott estate in Dedham from the heirs of Henry Bradford Endicott. He intended to renovate the 19th-century mansion into a splendid governor's residence. After Volpe resigned to become Secretary of Transportation in the Nixon administration, the plan was aborted by his successor in consideration of budgetary constraints and because the location was considered too far from the seat of power, the State House in Boston. Prior to their early 20th century demolitions, the Province House and the Hancock Manor were also proposed as official residences. Since the governor has no official residence, the expression corner office, rather than governor's mansion, is commonly used in the press as a metonym for the office of governor. List of governors. Since 1780, 65 people have been elected governor, 6 to non-consecutive terms, and 7 lieutenant governors have acted as governor without subsequently being elected governor. Prior to 1918 constitutional reforms, both the governor's office and that of lieutenant governor were vacant on one occasion, when the state was governed by the Governor's Council. Colonial Massachusetts. The colonial history of Massachusetts begins with the founding first of the Plymouth Colony in 1620, and then the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1628. The Dominion of New England combined these and other New England colonies into a single unit in 1686, but collapsed in 1689. In 1692, the province of Massachusetts Bay was established, merging Plymouth and Massachusetts Bay, which then included the territory of present-day Maine. Colonial governors of Plymouth and the Massachusetts Bay Colony were elected annually by a limited subset of the male population, while Dominion officials in those of the 1692 province were appointed by the British Crown. In 1774, General Thomas Gage became the last royally appointed governor of Massachusetts. He was recalled to England after the Battle of Bunker Hill in June 1775, by which time the Massachusetts Provincial Congress exercised de facto control of Massachusetts territory outside British-occupied Boston. Between 1775 and the establishment of the Massachusetts State Constitution in 1780, the state was governed by the Provincial Congress and an Executive Council. Commonwealth of Massachusetts. 1780 present in the table below. Acting governors are denoted in the leftmost column by the letter A and are not counted as actual governors. The longest-serving governor was Michael Dukakis, who served 12 years in office, although they were not all consecutive. The longest period of uninterrupted service by any governor was 9 years, by Levi Lincoln, Jr. The shortest service period by an elected governor was 1 year, achieved by several 19th-century governors. Increase Sumner, elected by a landslide to a third consecutive term in 1799, was on his deathbed and died not long after taking the oath of office. This represents the shortest part of an individual term served by a governor. Sumner was one of 4 governors to die in office. 7 governors resigned, most of them to assume another office. Parties: Democratic Federalist, Democratic Republican, No Party, Whig, National Republican, Republican, No. Nothing. Other high offices held. This is a table of notable government offices held by governors. All representatives and senators mentioned represented Massachusetts. Living former governors as of May 2015. Update: there are 5 former U.S. governors and acting U.S. governors of Massachusetts, who are currently living at this time, the oldest being Michael Dukakis, the most recent U.S. governor of Massachusetts, and also the U.S. governor of Massachusetts who served most recently. To have died was Paul Cellucci, on June 8, 2013.